You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Okay, I am here with Amanda, who's here on She's the Business podcast with me today. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, amazing. I can't wait to get into this conversation because I think just at this time of year, we're starting the year, it's all a bit crazy, and a calm and confident mindset. Oof, who doesn't need one of those? I think that we could all do with being more calm and more intentional and just having that confidence in our business as we step into the new year. So I appreciate you coming to talk to us about that today and share your expertise. But before we get into it, can you give us a bit of background as to what you do in your business and who you serve?
Yeah, sure. So thank you. Yeah, I'm Amanda. So I'm a registered and accredited hypnotherapist. I'm based in the UK, down in Sussex, but I work internationally online, which is amazing. And I really support really passionate, tenacious female founders and business owners, CEOs to kind of forever reframe their subconscious beliefs to be able to then unlock kind of all of their inner certainty, that inner confidence and belief in themselves, to really then further their own businesses, create that momentum and create that impact that I think so many business owners want to make on the world.
Yeah, that's so great. And well, how do you exactly do that? What is because when we just say we're reframing the subconscious, and like people kind of think, well, it's just a lot of language patterns and picking up on what you're talking about. And we all read maybe we don't all read the self-help books, but I think that if you're in the entrepreneurial space, you've probably come across some of this type of thing before. So what is it exactly that you do specifically with your clients? Do you have a particular method that you prefer?
Yeah, 100%. I think, as you say, so many entrepreneurs are already in that self-development or personal development space. We're listening to the podcast and we've read the books, and potentially you're working with a coach or a strategist. And sometimes people will come to me who have been like, I've been doing all the action, I've been putting all the work in, I've been following what other people are saying, but I'm still not moving any further forward. And the thing is, sometimes unknowingly, there are those limiting beliefs, there's those mental blocks that some people are aware of and can't quite get over on their own. And other people aren't really aware and they can't quite work out, what's going on. And a lot of people will come and work with me purely to try and discover what is going on behind the scenes. And that's where hypnotherapy is really powerful. And I often say to people, so often people think everything starts with a thought, your ideas and your own beliefs and values, it all starts with a thought, but actually it starts with a belief, because your beliefs are ingrained within you. They've been there for such a long time. Normally, they are created within childhood by your environment, your culture, the messages that you're hearing around you every day from your family or schooling and things like that. So it really does all start with your beliefs, because they create your thoughts, they create your feelings and your behaviors and your habits, and then the results that you're getting. So I think looking into the subconscious and being able to really tap into that, because again, so many people don't realize that 90% of their everyday is controlled by the subconscious, because it holds your past experiences, your beliefs, your habits, behaviors, everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis is all stored in there. So it seems crazy then to not tap into that first, to kind of eliminate those potential limiting beliefs that you may have, either about the world, about business, money, yourself. And for women especially who come to me, it's really peeling back those layers, because they might come with a kind of top layer. Well, I don't think I can move forward in my business because I'm stressed out or I'm overwhelmed. And it will be like, that's a real classic top layer issue. But then we have to peel back and peel back. And it's like, so why are we overwhelmed? What feelings are being triggered? What situations are triggering you to feel overwhelmed? And it's all about peeling back and getting to that root cause. And so often, and it can be a real shame, but so often women, it will be that underlining lack of self-worth and not feeling they deserve that success. And again, all that's messaging or maybe past events that were happening when they were younger, that and they've held on to that. And again, sometimes unknowingly they've held on to that, and it's that kind of mental block that's then stopping them from basically moving forward, whether they're consciously doing all the do or not. So that's kind of why and what the reasonings are, but being able to do the hypnotherapy with them is then a case of just working through kind of the process. And I think sometimes hypnotherapy at the moment, it has that kind of preconceived notion of like the stage hypnosis, and not a lot of people, depending where you are, what country, not a lot of people know the real benefits of it. It's not necessarily fully mainstreamed, maybe like counselling, psychotherapy, but it is a real effective form of talk therapy. And we're lucky actually in the UK that the NHS, our National Health Service, has now started to suggest it to people on a general practitioner basis for anxiety, weight loss, for other things, and to just get over it, because it does make such a huge difference, and people are more getting on board with the effects of it and using the subconscious to tap into it.
Amazing. I have had some hypnosis done even online, which absolutely blew my mind. Somebody who was on the other side of the world, and I went into a fully hypnotic state and processed a whole lot of stuff, which was just amazing. But I guess for somebody who's thinking, well, all I've seen of hypnosis is what's on TV and on the stage, and people kind of doing random things and not knowing what they're doing, could you give someone like a really quick description of, what's an example of what might happen in a hypnotherapy session, just so they get the right kind of picture in their mind of what's happening?
Yeah, and I really hate to burst people's bubbles sometimes, and it's like all of the stage hypnosis is, some people are very highly susceptible to those suggestions, but realistically, you cannot be made to do anything that you don't want to do. That is a fact. And all of the clients that come to me, if they've got any questions, obviously we go through everything, but the client is still in 100% control. They know what's going on. They can go quite deep into the zone, but they still have full awareness, and they know what is happening. They, some people don't necessarily hear what I'm saying, but they are still in full control. So it's very much, if anybody's done a guided meditation, just being in that kind of still, quiet state, it's really, really similar. Just listening to the sound of my voice, which is why it does work really well online as well, because you don't have to see me, you just have to hear me and listen. Quite often people are more relaxed online because they're in their own homes. So those first like 1 or 2 sessions, they're much more relaxed, because they're in the comfort of their own home. But it really just feels like kind of in between that awake and asleep place, sort of in that limbo, if you're really kind of in the zone. And it's just a really deeply relaxed state, but a heightened state of awareness as well. And I think people often think, I'm going to be asleep, what if I fall asleep? But you don't, you're just in that space, you're really, really relaxed, and it just allows your conscious mind to step away for a minute. It just quiets it, and allows the subconscious to just move forward slightly, listen, and take on board all of those kind of reframing and suggestions that we make. And it just slows the brainwaves, basically. It's all science behind it.
And just for anybody who's sort of not experienced it, it just, when I went through my experience with that, I was sitting at my desk in front of my computer on a Zoom call, and I just had my eyes closed, and we were talking. And the weird thing was, I could hear my husband in the kitchen, I could hear my kids doing things in the house. I was aware of them, but if I'd wanted to kind of get distracted by them, I guess I could have. But I'd already, she'd said, look, you might hear normal sounds and it's all good and that's all going to happen around you. And so I think at the time I was like, no, I really want to stay where I am. And process through where I was going. I went on a little journey back into my past in my mind, which was really fun, and just sort of uncovered some of the things, like you said, your subconscious. We've got so much programming in there. I loved how you explained it. It's kind of stuff that we've picked up over time that's filtered in, and it actually does feel like it is true, or this is the way that things are. And it's very much, we feel like it's black and white. And it's interesting because what I see or perceive it as is so many things that are kind of in our blind spots, right? That because we feel like it's fact and it's just the way it is, you're not questioning it. You're actually just totally thinking this is just how things are. Or this is, and they can be quite subtle, and it's been amazing, some of the ones that I've uncovered. I haven't done it all through hypnosis. Some of it's just kind of through exploring and asking questions and going back into my past and finding little stories and making connections with patterns and things like that, which I think is interesting. But I've probably only scratched the surface, and I'm so interested to hear. We're going to talk a bit more about this, but I thank you for that, because I think that when people hear about hypnosis, it can bring up just some like, oh, this is a bit kind of weird, and what is this all about? But it's actually... it's really just a journey into your own mind, right? And kind of uncovering things that have been placed there since you were a kid, and over time that have become fact for you and part of how you're operating. And so, that's why it's so important to understand what they are. If you've been doing all the actions, you're not getting where you're getting, it's probably not the actions. It's probably partly because you're operating from this place of being where you are with all of these beliefs and not being able to move forward. So I love that. Thank you so much for giving that description of it, and, some of those common misconceptions around it. When we say we want to reframe the subconscious, someone might be thinking, well, how do I even know what my subconscious is saying? Like, what does that actually mean? So can you give us an example or explain what that means?
Yeah, so I think this is the part of whether you're a bit more self-aware. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, as we said earlier, where they're doing a lot of personal development, they are a little bit more aware. They do know that there are some blocks in place, and potentially they've already started exploring some of them. If you haven't, and you come to me and it's a very top layer issue, like I said earlier, then it is a case of between us, we will work together to keep peeling back those layers and digging down. And we do that sort of in the first I've got kind of like a 4-step methodology that I use with people, and to try and break it down for them and make it, easier to kind of follow. But it is really about that identifying phase and gaining that clarity. And some people can, as I said, quite easily work out what past experiences were their kind of trigger point for things. And some people can't. And actually, it really depends. Sometimes we do have to go into a hypnosis to gain that clarity, because it is all there in the subconscious. And even if, because you can talk during hypnosis, you can just lay back and listen and take it all in. But equally, we can have a two-way conversation, and I can ask your subconscious questions. So you'll be answering from the subconscious. And it's just a case of where we've quieted the conscious mind, that thinking mind, the subconscious can literally just answer. And it's very intuitive as well. I don't think we rely on our intuition enough and listen to that inner voice. There's too much noise going on all the time, too much conflicting information coming at us. And it's just being able to be in that still place, allowing that clarity to come through. So people can quite easily do that on their own. We do a number of different exercises, or we can go into hypnosis and gain more clarity through that as well. And it may not come out on the session. It may come out a couple of days later. It may be literally or in the shower, having a quiet moment, and it will come into your mind and you'll be like, oh my God, that's it. That's what it was. Or in dreams as well. And we really, in our work, we have a look at what people are dreaming about, because that's all subconscious. Your subconscious mind is trying to piece things together, and it comes out in your dreams quite a lot. And if you're a vivid dreamer and you can remember, when you wake up, I always ask people to write it down, because there's always something that you can take from that as well and continue to kind of gain that clarity. And then we can carry on peeling back those layers. And it's really about giving people that individualized support, because everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have different triggers, different past experiences, and how their beliefs are working for them. It's always going to be different. So yeah, it's that.
Wow. Yeah, it's incredible. Now, you mentioned that you have a 4-step process that you take people through. Did you want to give us a quick overview of what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the first step really is that clarity and identifying, like I just explained. And, we'd go through a couple of weeks of really doing that, because we try and keep it fluid as well. So within the 4-step program, again, things can come up during the weeks that I'm working with people. So we want to try and keep it fluid and tackle things that are coming up at the time. But the real bulk of the hypnotherapy, once we've really identified, what we're working with, what those real deep-rooted limiting beliefs might be, is being able to just let them go, just being able to release them and let your subconscious know that it's safe for you to do so. And quite often it is wrapped up in that safety, that being able to be vulnerable enough to let them go, say goodbye to them. And I try and explain to people that quite often the subconscious is there, not working against us. It's trying to keep us safe. It's that real kind of primeval, when we were being attacked by saber-toothed tigers. Yep. It's that real trying to keep us safe, but unknowingly it's keeping us locked in those kind of negative or limiting patterns and cycles that we want to break free from. So the releasing part is a huge step forward, and it's then being able to just let go. And especially with women in business, it's letting go of all those things we can't control, because it's those things as well that kind of hold us in that space, of resistance almost. So once we just let go of those things that we really can't control and just focus on what we can control, then things really do start turning around. And equally, we then start overcoming those limiting beliefs, if it is a lack of self-worth, or even self-sabotaging, perfectionism, procrastination, whatever it may be. We work very intentionally on those points and just let them go. And we do it all via guided imagery, visualization within the hypnosis. So the subconscious can sort of metaphorically, a lot of the time, let these things go. And some of the imagery, we write things on paper, we throw it into a fire. We associate those thoughts and feelings with rocks or pebbles and throw them into the sea. It's whatever imagery is really going to work for you. And we go all through that in the identifying phase. But it's such an important part. And then moving on from there, that we kind of call that bit almost like the shadow work. It's almost like the letting go of that dark, and then we move back into the light and we restore. So we're rebuilding and restoring that inner certainty, which is so important. We're all craving that certainty in our lives and our businesses. And I think once knowing we can't control the outside world, if we can restore that inner certainty in us, and that self-belief and that faith, the inner confidence and resilience, quiet that inner critic, which we all have, and get back in control of our own thoughts. It's all that restoring phase. And I love an imagery that I do. It's sowing the seed of self-worth, nurturing it, letting it grow and flourish. And there's a really lovely kind of imagery and metaphors that we work through. So yeah, the releasing and the restoring is the kind of second and third step. And then we move on to the healing, which is the best part, because then we really can focus on prioritizing ourselves, having that self-compassion, towards ourselves, towards our businesses, not being too hard on ourselves, which so often women are, and really allowing that feminine energy to flow. And it's another thing that I work with in the sessions, giving yourself permission to recoup, re-energize, just moving away from the masculine slightly, which is taking action, doing the do, being organized, getting a little bit more, slowing down into flow, and just releasing that control and resistance a little bit, because you're so much more productive when you're in that flow. Less than the do. So that's it in a nutshell.
No, it's great. I'm loving it all. So is there something that you would typically be feeling or experiencing when you're not in the flow, when there is the resistance there? Is it just a frustration that things aren't working, or is there something that you're like, if you heard someone describe what they're experiencing right now, you would know straight away what it is?
Yeah. I think it is. It's feeling frustrated. It's feeling like, you're not moving forward in any way. As I said earlier, you're kind of doing everything practically. You're doing everything you can do, and maybe you are reading the self-development books and everything, and you're implementing those skills, but still nothing's shifting for you. And it may well be those underlying beliefs that you haven't tackled yet. Quite a few women come if they're not feeling like in their bodies as well. So often we hold it within ourselves, hold it in our bodies, and it's that tension, the stress, the overwhelm, and forms of anxiety as well. And moving on to sort of procrastination, it's like, oh, well, I've got a day to do all this stuff, but then nothing happened. I just wasn't able to concentrate and do it because they're just not in the, that mindset to continue. So yeah, there's so many different variables, but all of those would be, classic symptoms of being able to get them on.
Wow. Definitely relate to having experienced some of that at times. That's amazing. I wanted to ask, because you've mentioned it or alluded to it, I guess, already, but if someone goes through and sort of uncovers some of these beliefs or blocks, how long does that take? Or is that a question of like, how long's a piece of string? And I guess the other part of that question, which you can kind of tack on to, is once you've uncovered those, what's next? Are we kind of like chipping through layers of the earth where you've kind of like broken through some layers and then, we find that there's more? What's your kind of experience with that and how to, I'm just interested to hear.
Yeah. And sometimes people, I think sometimes the word therapy, it can put people off and think, oh, am I opening Pandora's box? Is everything going to then be, spilling out? But in a way, yes. In a way, we have to crack that box open and really dig deep and, do that self-reflection and that healing work to be able to move forward. And I think having that, again, real bespoke individualized support is really important. Knowing that I'm there and will move them through, having those expertise, to move them through the process of it all. And I mean, it really depends on the individual. It really depends on what limiting beliefs they have, how deep rooted. Generally, working with people, it can be as little as 6 sessions, so 6 1-hour sessions. The one-to-one program that I do is 12 weeks. And within that, we would do anything from 6 to 10 hypnotherapy sessions, again, depending on that individual's requirements. But realistically, it's a quick therapy. It's a real fast, effective therapy. You don't have to be doing it for like months and months, years and years, like some other, other talk therapies that don't necessarily tap into the subconscious. So it's quick. It's quick.
That is quick. Yeah. And do you find if anybody's, you've addressed one of their limiting beliefs and they've like released it and let it go, does it come back, or have they kind of healed that kink forever?
It is long lasting. If again, it's very much a two-way street. So I say and I've turned clients down as well in the past who, after speaking to them, they've been like, well, yes, I think I should do this, or, oh, well, my partner said to me, I really do need to. It's never going to work. You are in full control of your subconscious. And as we said earlier, that your subconscious is there keeping you safe. And if we don't have the subconscious 100% on board wanting to make those positive changes, it's not going to work. Same with everything. So I always say to the clients, do you really want to do this? Let's dig down and explore why you really want to make these changes. And, are you committed to becoming, that just next level version of you in order to break through and make it all work? So I'd say a lot of people, yes, it's long lasting and they don't come back. Yeah. And I think sometimes if there are a few that are having a wobble every now and again, then we do refresher work. It is just being able to tap in and it's the reiteration within your subconscious. It's very similar with positive affirmations, but because you're saying those positive affirmations consciously, it takes a long time for them to go in. Whereas when you're doing similar things within the subconscious, it doesn't then take as long to, take hold.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that, anybody who's listening who like us has sort of come into the world of entrepreneurship, for me, I think it's been such a journey of self-discovery as much as anything. Like, I never imagined what I would learn about myself, the different things I've become aware of, all of this, just even understanding things about the subconscious, about, thoughts that I had or ways that I had of looking at things that have evolved over the years since I started this journey. But it's just incredible that there's so many layers, layer upon layer. And now, you can really look back and see like, wow, I was living in such a bubble before. I was like living this life that, it was all what I perceived was the way that you do things. And, you finish school and you go to university and you work your way up the ladder. And it's so interesting because that person, old me, was just so unaware of all of these things. And it's like, yes, opening Pandora's box. I don't know if it's like that, or it's like suddenly putting on glasses and you can see clearly when maybe before your eyes were blurry. It's amazing, isn't it? And I just feel like there's so much more to discover as well. You kind of break through a layer and then you find, wow, there's actually some more things here, which mean, I think, in the really positive sense, is when you can discover them, like you said, you work on and remove the blocks, it means that you can actually keep on rising up to a new level of you, a new, just so much self-improvement, which is incredible. It's exciting, actually.
It is super exciting. Yeah, and I've totally been on that journey myself. I think you have to go on it, and I don't think you can create real momentum and success in your life or your business if you haven't done that deep-rooted self-discovery work, and you sometimes have to go to the dark places to kind of push back through and back into the light and come out the other side. And it's truly amazing, and actually a real privilege to see so many ladies I work with go on that journey and go through that kind of transformative journey. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I wanted to ask if there's anything that's sort of like a simple steps, or, somebody's thinking, wow, I'm just so interested about this. Are they jumping in off the diving board at the deep end, or are there some simple steps or something that you can share that they could think about or try or anything like that?
Yeah. I think initially it's really helpful just to, like I said before, within that clarity stage, just have that bit of quiet self-reflection time. And I know we're in a busy world and there's only 24 hours in a day and everyone's trying to, fit everything in, but having that quiet time and allowing your intuition to really come through and talk to you, and just being able to do that self-reflection and asking yourself those questions. If you've got a problem, if you feel like there's a block in something, whether it's business related, life, parenthood, whatever, just give yourself that time. It has to be 5 minutes. And it sounds funny, but I tend to have my biggest kind of breakthroughs and downloads, as it were, when I'm in the shower, because I get left alone for 5 minutes. I've got two small kids. I get left alone for 5 minutes, and often my brain can just relax and it's just quiet. And then, the ideas come, or the breakthroughs come, and I call them the downloads, the divine downloads of what I should be doing, what I should be moving through, that's affecting me because of this. So I'd really recommend just even if it's 5 minutes, giving yourself that quiet sort of self-reflection time, and listening to intuition. It's so important. It really is.
I think that's such a simple one, but really, think about, well, when do you give yourself time in the day? Because if you are a parent as well and you're running a business, it's likely that your brain is super busy all the time from the moment you wake up. If you're not on your phone checking some things, maybe doing some social media, you've got the kids and all of their stuff that you're doing, you've got all sorts of things with just your life. If you don't consciously take 5 minutes to go, hey, I'm just feeling a bit like I'm spinning my wheels at the moment. Maybe I should just go and be somewhere without my phone and like actually just give myself some space, because I think we're just so automatic where we're jumping from one thing to another. It's really easy to be feeling like you're relaxing and you're on your phone, but that's not giving your brain time to think, because you're actually looking at whatever's on your phone. So you're just sort of feeding it more things. And I love that, you just said it only takes 5 minutes. I have the same thing in the shower. I think a lot of people do. It's like the shower, there's all of the water coming onto the top of their head and helping release and open up that, the energy chakra on the top of your head, I think is always so stimulated when you're in the shower. So I also love that time. It's harder. I think when we had younger kids, I used to always hear a baby crying when I was in the shower. I know that's one of those phenomenons, isn't it? It's like, I'm sure they weren't actually crying, but I'd be in there, I'd be like, oh my God, there's something happening. And like, you actually could not relax in the shower, but now they're at school age, thank goodness. You can have a nice moment in the shower to yourself.
I just shut the door and hope for the best, to be fair. It's mine are 62, so I'm just hoping for the best all the time.
Yeah, you're like, please don't let it be something. Once I figured out that it was my brain or my mind playing tricks on me, it was sort of easier to think, no, okay, that's not actually a sound of a screen. That's just, that noise doesn't exist. I've made it up. Oh, it's funny how our brains do that. But no, that's such a great one. I think becoming aware, it just sort of reminds me, like, I obviously don't do any hypnosis work or subconscious work, but as a coach, I've found it really interesting, because I thought that I would be, really helping people with their strategy all the time. And it's very kind of, that's probably the masculine piece, really. It's very, the strategic piece, right? How are we going to do this? But for me, adding that feminine flavor of needing the alignment in, it's a much more fluid and flowing process when I look at strategy. However, the thing that I have found and discovered has been so interesting, because it's not what anyone comes to me for and I never talk about it, is often me being able to reflect back to them some of the things that they're saying and some of the beliefs and the reasons why they think that they can't raise their prices, or why they think that they can't be both casual and professional at the same time, and things that are actually just really holding them back when we're talking about their marketing, their brand, their pricing, how we're putting their offers together. I'm obviously able to be identifying it because I'm on the outside. I'm not inside where this feels like it's true, and I can hear them saying it and reflect it back to them. And that's obviously part of this awareness phase, right? Because then suddenly they're aware of it and they're thinking, oh, okay, I hadn't really thought about it that way. And we can do some, I think, what I'd call surface layer work there, right? Where we can talk about it. But what you do is on such an even deeper level. If it's something that's really, really ingrained, then, tapping into the subconscious is a whole new layer of work that you need to do.
I often say to people, I advocate business coaches. I've worked with some myself, and it has, because I am not the strategy guru or the marketing guru or any of that whatsoever. Not my forte. And I've needed help in my own business, 100%. But it's almost like I'm kind of like the absolute first person to come to, because once your beliefs are sorted out, once you're plain sailing, everything else is just logistics and all of that amazing business strategy. And as you've just been talking about, you'll absolutely be flying then. You're taking all of the advice from the business expert, and once you've got the beliefs sorted out, then that's what I say, you can really get the momentum and that limitless success that you're craving. So
I love it. I love that it's like, it's the thing that we all don't know that we need to know. So it's like right there. It's actually inside us. We don't even need to go and find it or Google it or search for it anyway. It's inside us. Want to be unstoppable? Then you have the answer already inside you. That's just amazing. Blows my mind when I think about it. But that's so cool. So Amanda, we've touched on quite a few things. Is there something else that you wanted to share today? I just feel called to ask that question. I know it's very random and very open, but I tend tend to kind of go with my gut and my intuition on things. And
yeah, I'm just trying to think. I suppose, as I say, you know, to people that I work with, you know, it is about practicing what you preach as well. And I suppose for me, in my journey's been very varied, but being able to take on board everything has made such a huge difference. And a lot of the time it's small changes which have made such a massive impact for me, and trying to get kind of my story across to people as well. And I think for me, letting go of that perfectionism, which again so many women seem to have, you know, those deep rooted issues which have come from, you know, somewhere. And in business, especially, being able to just be like, you know what, if it's done, great, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I do that now in my parenthood, in my business, in my everyday life. And it makes you calmer. It gives you back that certainty that, well, it's done. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. And I think also you're not giving away that power then, and worrying about what other people think. And I'm a massive advocate, show my age now, but having had 25 years of worrying about what other people thought, their opinions, and this, that, and the other, and being able to like really free yourself from that, and just regaining that authenticity and being like, it's okay, they're going to judge me anyway, so I'm just going to carry on doing my thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I really want to be able to get that out to people, that, you know, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. And, you know, again, women are so used to that comparisons, and it's really something just in society, I think, that we have to break down and start moving through, and getting more into the flow together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how ingrained it is. I catch myself doing it. And, you know, I know not to compare. I'm like, no, stay in my lane. Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And then all of a sudden you're not paying attention, and you notice, oh, I'm comparing, you know, something stupid like my Instagram bio to someone else's. I'm like, oh, I like their bio. What does mine look like? And then I'm like, why am I even bothering? Why does it even matter? It doesn't matter at all.
And we're so often on different stages of the journey as well. And, you know, the self-deprecating part of you're comparing potentially your worst with their best. You know, they're only going to be showing you their best, you know, and you're comparing the worst, and they may be 10 steps down the road on their journey, and you're still on step number 1, and that comparison's there, and I'm not good enough, and it's like, no, stop it.
So true. Now, if anybody would love to like find out a bit more, potentially reach out to you, where would they best find you? How can they do that?
Yeah, so I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. So it's literally Amanda Cole Hypnotherapy. You can find me there. It's my personal page, not business. My website as well. So again, that's just all the W's, and then amandacolehypnotherapy.com. And I am on Instagram as well. And again, just at Amanda Cole Hypnotherapy. Nice and easy.
Oh, wow, you've done well. There is no other Amanda Cole Hypnotherapy. So you own it. It's easy to find you. That's wonderful. Thank you. We'll make sure those are all linked up in the notes, and then anybody who's, you know, interested just to learn more, connect with you, and maybe even find out about hypnotherapy. It's just certainly a fascinating thing. It's amazing. The human being, aren't we just incredible? Yeah. All these layers and depths that we just aren't even aware of, which is fascinating. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. I think it's been a really illuminating discussion, a really good chat. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. We'll have to connect again soon.
Thanks.